Okay, we are going to start with Serious Black. The other colours we're going to use today are Snow White. We have also got Royal Blood, which is going to be our main base. And then we have a little bit of Summer Sky, which is a lighter shade that we use here. And I'm also using Trench Coat, which is a really light grey. And also a little bit of Parchment, I think that's how you say it. And some Frost as well, which is really pale blue. So, beginning with Royal Blood, I'm going to cover the whole nail. I find Royal Blood is probably one of my most used colours when I am doing ocean themed sets. I just find it's the perfect depth of blue. It's got a lot of pigment to it, it's good coverage, and it tends to blend really well with lighter shades as well. So I'm going to pop one coat of that on. Then I'm going to cure it for 60 seconds. Then I'm going to take Summer Sky in my airbrush machine, and I'm just going to start to spray the top of the nail and just going to drag that down ever so slightly. I have got a reference picture in front of me, just like on Google, and I was trying to create the illusion of the surface of the water. So obviously you've got the sun shining down towards the surface of the water, and then you've got the depth. So that's how it came out. I was really happy with that. And what I go and do is use the same colour mixed with a little bit of Snow White on my palette, and I'm using a little brush here just to create some lines. And when you're doing more realistic work on your nails, I find that layering and layering and layering is key. You don't need to get it all perfect in one shot, so I'm just creating a little bit of like an idea here, I guess you could say. I just wanted to be able to look at the nail and see that it was starting to look like the depth of the ocean with the sun shining through, obviously. So you'll see me here just adding some lines. Again, I'm just going off of a reference picture. So you can start to see now it is looking how it should look. If you kind of have ever seen, rays of sunshine, piercing down through the sky, I'm using a little blending brush here. And it's just going to give a really nice blend between those fine lines that I did and obviously the lighter blue in the top. Once I was happy with that, I cured it, and then I wanted to go in with Parchment, and I'm going to start mapping out where my free diver is going to go now. Once you've scaled down your design that you've picked to go on your nail, which I find is probably the hardest bit, scaling, once you've done that, then I find it's easier. So definitely popping some dots and just mapping out where each part of the body is going to be. It does then all come together a little bit easier. This was quite tricky because it was the first time I'd done a human on a nail like in full in quite a long time, so I do find that realism is a little bit more tricky, but you'll definitely see each step here coming through, and it's quite like cool to see, I guess, as it's sped up a little bit. You see the person, like the woman free diving, coming in and starting to look really real, which was really exciting to do. I'm a big ocean lover, guys. Like, I love all things ocean, scuba diving, swimming, snorkeling, diving, surfing, anything like that. I'm there doing it, so you'll find me there. So that's why I decided to go ahead with the series of the ocean series. I thought that'd be really cool, obviously for anybody that's interested in that kind of stuff, and also it might give you a few little ideas for sets in the future. So yeah, I just thought it'd be quite cute. Now my next step is to cover up her swimsuit, so I'm using Serious Black for this, and I'm just going to fill out that whole area. I found that by doing this it was giving me a little bit more guidance as to where things were going to go on her, like her arms and her chest and everything. So I will just let you enjoy that filling out process here, because it's quite self-explanatory. I'm literally just going to cover it in black, and then I'll be back with you in a mo. Right, so for her skin, there was many different tones. Obviously, I'm going off of a real life photo. This wasn't a nail design that I was copying or anything like that. And I think finding the colours for human skin under the water is quite tricky because it's always going to give off a blue shade. So I found that Parchment was quite a nice cool toned cream. So I did begin using that, and then I did have a palette beside me here where I mixed blues in with the Parchment. I used grey, I used a little bit of Serious Black, and I just went back and forth until I got the right colours to shade it in. The legs did stress me out a little bit, I must admit. Like, they were getting a little bit annoying because one leg looked too big, one leg looked too small. So if you do see me going back and forth and you see the legs changing over the course of this design, that is why, basically, because I kept having to change them. But sometimes I feel like with nail designs you need to carry on with something else and then come back to it. Once you visualize a little bit more of the nail, you can see where things sit and change things up a little bit. So that's kind of how I did it. I was really happy with how the arm came along. It just went down and it just did its thing. Like, it just looked good straight off the bat. So that made me feel confident because I didn't want to start losing hope at this point. I was like, you know, come on girl, we're doing this. You've got yourself into this mess, so we're going to finish it. The end result of this nail does look incredible. Like, I was really proud of it as my first go doing something like that. So yeah, I think you'll be excited to see the end result and how we get there. As you can see, I'm using a really small nail art brush here, and I'm just taking things really slowly, using the same product to build her chest and then her other arm and her head. And at this point I was like, yep, we're on a roll. I can see the vision, I can see the human coming through, and it looked like the photo, so that was really exciting. I did get a little bit stressed about the thought of the fishes all around the nail, because if you've seen the thumbnail to the video, you'll see that she is swimming amongst a school of fish, and I was thinking, how on earth am I going to sit and do all these fishes? There was literally thousands, but they were quite easy to do actually. So I've just popped her other arm here, and it's sort of got a little bit of a bend on it. Starting to look really cool now. I was really happy at this point. And again, I am just using a mixture of different tones and colours. I didn't put the palette on camera as there were so many different shades that I was using. I just didn't think to do that. But if you are wanting to recreate something like this with a person under the water and you need like realistic skin tones for underwater, then drop a comment down below and I can always like caption or tag a little picture of the shades and the mixtures that I used, if that helps. So now I have finished doing her mask. I popped like her mask and her snorkel on. She's there looking cute, and I've started doing some of the fishes. And I began doing some of the fishes that were more closer up and in the foreground of the picture. And then for the fishes in the background, I tend to just do some really small little lines, and I found that that was the most effective way. I feel like I would have loved to create some more detail in her face and on her chest and stuff, but again, I don't do this sort of thing that often, so I do think that once I keep practicing and we carry on with this ocean series, it'll be really fun to see how the first video comes out to how the last video comes out, and how much improvement happens, because, you know, I'm only human and I'm not a full-blown nail artist. I'm a nail tech full-time, and nail art, again, I say it in all my videos, is something that's slightly newer to me, you know, really detailed nail art, so I'm giving it a good practice and a good go. But I think for other people out there that want to practice and aren't as confident, it's nice to see somebody that, you know, it doesn't come second nature to. It's just, you know, I'm practicing still, so I'm the same page as you and we will practice together. So it just goes to show how easy our products are to use as well, because I have used everything from day one and I found that there's been nothing else I've needed. Everything's been really good. They're really easy to work with when you're doing detailed like nail art, I guess, like a human or anything like that. The colours are very, very good. We've got a really good range of bright neons, you know, cartoon colours, to really good range of skin tone colours and things like that. So you'll never find that you'll have an issue with our range of colours when you want to do detailed nail art. Definitely check out the website. There's loads, like hundreds of colours. I can't do that too often because I end up with a very sad bank account. But yeah, definitely check it out because there's tons of colours and lots of options. So back to the nail anyway, because I ramble on as if I'm sat in front of all of you having a conversation like I'm, you know, having a cup of tea with you. But I'll get back to the nail now anyway. So as you can see, in a way of school of fish and how they work in the water and how they move, they are usually all in groups like this. So this was kind of circling the free diver, I guess you could say. There was some fish going up towards the surface, so I used a white as a lighter colour for that. And then as I got lower down into the depths, I used a mixture of royal blood mixed with summer sky and Sirius black, and that gave me my shadowed fish effect. So I'm kind of just layering here really. I wanted to pop down some of the small lines that were giving the effect of the big schools of fish in the background with no detail, and then on top of the free diver and nearer to me I created the more detailed fish. I always kept the lighter colours on top of the fish and the darker colours on the bottom end of the fish, obviously to show where the light was hitting, and it started to come out really cool actually. Okay guys, so at this point I was just adding and adding and adding anywhere I could to try and get as much detail as possible. I was looking at the nail from a further distance and closer up also to just try and get the most realistic finish that I could. As you can see here, I've just popped a couple of extra little fishes. Let me know in the comments down below at this point to see what you think. Like, do you like it, or are you like, no, that's not cool? Because I was quite impressed with myself anyway. But yeah, let me know in the comments what you think. Make sure to give the video a thumbs up as well for me. It's really nice to see your feedback. I always go back and sit with my partner or with Barley and look at all the comments and the feedback, and I take it on board every single time. There are some requests in there somewhere that I have gone back and thought, right, I'll redo videos so that I can answer some of the requests that you've given. But yeah, I'm just going to basically leave you now to just enjoy me adding millions and tons of fishes on the nail, and then I'll be back towards the end of the video. So she's top coated, and that is the finished result. I really hope you liked the process to that video, and I hope you look forward to the rest of the series. I have episode 2 coming soon, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much again for watching. Thank you for the support, and make sure to hit that subscribe button. See you next time. Bye.